All right, let's get into it. Day 5, the pads were on. A lot of relevant stuff happened on the field. Some interesting stuff off the field, both from the head coach, the couple players, and some other members of the organization, I should say. It is the locker room. I am Landry Locker. You can see me here throughout the week. Also on SNL Live Monday through Friday, 4:00. So let's just start off and just make this very clear. I think this was the main theme of the day, was that the offense had its best day at camp. And this is important for a number of reasons, but the most important reason that this matters is because we don't expect this to be an elite offense. It could be a really good offense, but we don't expect this to be an elite offense, and they are going to have some limitations that they're going to have to overcome through coaching. But I thought they looked good throwing the ball in the red zone, and they're going to have to capitalize on those opportunities. The defense is going to keep them in a lot of games, but the difference between settling for 3 and walking away with 7, it's going to be massive, especially if they want to get where they want to get. So the offense, I thought, had by far and away their best day. We'll get into some of the individual performances, the dogs of the day, a little bit later on, as well as we'll hear from Nick Chubb. And I thought that there's some funny stuff that went down in regards to Nick Chubb that I'm going to touch on, and I'm going to try to do so respectfully. But it's actually getting kind of hilarious and kind of amusing. Not necessarily the back and forth about what he can or can't be or isn't, but just the way that some people are defending Nick Chubb. And I don't think he needs this type of defense. He's a professional football player, and he's been around for a long time. He went to freaking Georgia. And I don't think you can duplicate the level of crazy and intense that is from Georgia. So he's a big guy. He can handle his own business. But there was something very, very funny about the way in which the Nick Chubb stuff was spoken of this morning. As far as, and Nick Chubb was at the podium, which was appropriate, given that the pads were on. So the morning started today with obviously the excitement over the pads. Christian Harris still not back. He was on the side. I think he's practicing tomorrow. I'm not. I think he practices this week. Or no later than West Virginia. I pushed it back a little bit because I thought the padded practice, but I think he'll get back a little bit close to West Virginia. I'll just put it that way. That's my prediction. DeMeco might not like predictions, but that's my prediction. So we saw Christian Harris working on the side. Once again, they had a very quick special teams period, probably the quickest of the year. I don't know what was going on there. You had Fairbairn and then the usual guys by him. And then we went to Indy. Now, there was no Jalen Petrie once again. So Jalen Petrie is getting rest, I guess. Probably want to keep him fresh. Biggest observation in Indies is Jakob Johnson is a good receiver. And I would say right now, he's probably tight end 4. And it might even be 3.5 because I think they'll use him more in blocking situations than Schultz if they had to choose between the two. Not 3.5, 2.5. But they got him doing tight end drills. And I think this is a relevant observation because you remember last year when we saw British Brooks doing tight end and fullback drills, and it was apparent, okay, well, they're trying to find other ways for this guy to make the squad. Ended up making the squad. I think Jakob Johnson right now, he's fullback 1 and he's tight end 3. And he looks the part of a tight end, and everything from the way, like when he lines up to when he blocks to when he catches the rock. So I think Jakob Johnson is a guy to really keep a close eye on. They also had NFL Germany in town, so he was kind of a celeb today. So that was my biggest observation in independent. Then they had the group install. Tank Dell was out there. He was also at special teams. He was following around the punt returners, the Barrios, Kirk, and Knoll group. I call them the slot returners that were back there. Tank Dell was a pretty interested observer there. And then we finally get to the team. And I did see Derek Barnett too. He was walking. So first time I've laid eyes on Derek Barnett during camp. But team 1 was the first time that we saw the offense kind of start out of practice in a non-near disaster. Now, the offensive line from left to right, the first offensive line was Cam Robinson, Laken Tomlinson, Jared Patterson, Titus Howard, and Ariante Ursery. First play, there was a run by Chubb, and you could tell that Chubb was happy to be in pads because he kind of was finishing the run after, ran a little 10 extra yards, kind of put his shoulder like softly into the safety. Then there was a sack and a pass breakup on an attempt to Kirk. And then CJ Stroud finds Kalen Bullock or finds Kalen Bullock found his way into the play, but he finds Cade Stover across the middle, and Kalen Bullock just lays him the F out. Absolutely lays him the F out. And Kalen Bullock, he had a hell of a practice. You know what that means? He's one of the dogs of the day. I'm a dog. Kalen Bullock looked good. It was a solid hit. Cade Stover. Dalton Schultz might have got mad about it, but Cade Stover just ran back to the huddle. Then Davis Mills came in. Davis Mills has had a really good camp. Like, he looks like a really, really, really solid backup. And I never understand how whenever we say Davis Mills looks good, people are like, well, we should trade him. Why? You need a backup quarterback. Like, your season can fall apart. Like, if you have a backup quarterback at that price that knows the system, why would you want to get rid of that? And furthermore, what do you think you're going to get for Davis Mills in his 5th year? His value here is higher than it is anywhere else. Like, no one's bringing Davis Mills in to start. So I'm always a little bit amused by the portion of fans, you people, if you will. I'm not going to generalize, but that every time Davis Mills looks decent in practice, it's like, well, we should trade him. Why? Do you want to be a play away from Slovis or Mertz? The answer to that is no. In a perfect world, Davis Mills never plays, but you're not going to get good value for him. But the guy has had a really, really good camp. So I don't understand even thinking about that. Offensive line 2, left to right, was Zach Thomas, Jalen Thomas, Andrews, Ingram, and Fisher. That was OL2. And they would actually get first team reps in team 2, which we'll get to in a second. Mills found Hutchinson. Nice little catch across the middle on MJ Stewart. Nice toss by Mills. Jawar Jordan with a nice run. Jawar Jordan looks really good. I will say that. Like, he looks, it seems like he was probably hurt last year. And we know he was, but he looks fast. And he looks a lot faster than he did last year. And I heard John Harris saying that, he and Woody Marks were the best offensive players on the field on Saturday. And I don't disagree with that. Jawar Jordan's done very well. We're talking about a guy who, we probably looked at as kind of an afterthought. And obviously they didn't think that they had like anything insane with Jawar Jordan, which is why they brought in Chubb. But Jawar Jordan looked pretty good. People asking about British Brooks in the chat. Just stay tuned. You'll hear from him a little bit later. Then there was a run up the middle, nothing. Potential sack, and a pass sailed over Irv Smith's head. Then Davis Mills trots off the field. And you have Mertz in. JJ Taylor, who's back, he gets stuffed. Then you have a perfectly blocked rep with a toss to Daniel Jackson, number 85. British Brooks slammed down to the ground by EJ Speed, and then a blah run, and we're done with team two. Well, with team one, and we're on to team two. So team one, some decent stuff, good stuff from Davis Mills. The highlight was the Kalen Bullock lick on Cade Stover. Little USC on Ohio State crime. Then we go to team two. And team two was where we finally saw a touchdown. And they it should be noted, they've been starting offense on their own 20. So there's not, and they're not really like driving it much. It's kind of short. It seems a little bit shorter than usual, but maybe that kind of ramps up. But team two, we got our first touchdown in a team period. There was a colliding pocket. CJ Stroud stepped up and fouled Stover. I thought this was really good by CJ, recognizing the pressure and getting it out of his hands. I would imagine they're going to be getting the ball out of his hands a lot sooner in season, and he looks really comfortable doing it. Like CJ, if you tell CJ get rid of it quick, it's as smooth as you can possibly imagine. It's almost just like a quick flick. He did that a little bit later on in team to Hutchinson. Then we had a null slant, and then that was basically it for Stroud and company. Then on 4th and 1, they bring in Mills. JJ Taylor gets blown the hell up. I don't think in a real game you're going to run JJ Taylor up the middle unless damn it Bobby is going to turn into damn it Nick.
Damn it Bobby.
So that's not something that we're going to see in season. Then we have Mertz coming in with the third O-line. He had a dump off to Woody Marks. That dude can catch the effing football, by the way, Woody Marks. He probably, though, would have needed some medical attention if Arnett would have been able to or would have hit him as hard as he possibly could, because it was kind of a little bit of a kill shot opportunity for Arnett, and he hit him pretty decently. The offensive line, the third offensive line was Ursery, Scruggs, Cox, Henderson, and Deculus. So Ursery, Scruggs, Cox, Henderson, Deculus. So Ursery getting some left tackle and right tackle work. First team right tackle, third team left tackle. Then there was a pass that was about as high as a draft from Mertz, but he followed that up with a touchdown pass to Jalen Knoll, who had a hell of a day. Jalen Knoll's good, I'm telling you. Jalen Knoll is going to be nice. I think Jalen Knoll might end up being the most productive member of this rookie class. And Jalen Knoll, with the hell of a play, he's the next dog of the day.
I'm a dog.
And we'll hear plenty more from him in a second. Then CJ came back in, the quick out to Hutch that I previously mentioned. Then there was a dropped interception by Kalen Bullock. I think CJ might have thrown this away in an actual game, but it was dropped. Then Davis Mills and gets rid of the ball. Actually does a good job avoiding the sack. Kind of a skip pass, but he avoided the sack, and I thought it was very nicely done by Davis Mills. Then on 4th and 3, he hits Knoll on an out, moves the chains. Then John Mechie, he drops the ball, and then he goes on the other side and catches the ball. So he kind of redeems himself. And then we go on to special teams. Special teams, I thought there was something interesting. There was a moment that I think was kind of relevant regarding Miles Bryant. Miles Bryant, who had the really good practice on Saturday in the nickel spot, he ran a rep as the gunner, And then Ben McDaniels called him over and had him return a punt behind Noel, Berrios, and Kirk. Now, Miles Bryant's not going to return punts. But I think the fact that they're giving him other looks at other areas means that he's probably on the right side of the roster right now. And he probably should be based on what we've seen. But between Saturday and the fact that they're even giving him that one punt return rep on top of playing special teams and everything, I think it's been a really good last few days for Miles Bryant. And it was interesting. That's kind of one of those things that you see when you're like on the field and you can kind of hear, you heard Ben McDaniels say that. And that was an interesting observation with Miles Bryant. So I thought that was interesting. Then we had a break. Then we got a little 7-on-7. It was kind of a brief 7-on-7, but we got a little 7-on-7 action in the red zone, which is always fun. It was going the opposite way. It wasn't going towards us, but we were able to see nonetheless. You had, I thought, 2 pass breakups by Kamari Lassiter. The second one, some might have said was a touchdown for Nico. I don't know. They're kind of wrestling on the ground. But good stuff from Kamari Lassiter, back-to-back plays. And Kamari Lassiter,
I'm a dog, I'm a dog, I'm a dog, I'm a dog.
another dog of the day. Another dog of the day, Kamari Lassiter. Then Davis Mills came in. He hit Noel for touchdown. Then he threw a dime to Noel, and Noel dropped the touchdown on the out route. But 2 good throws from Davis Mills. Yes, I'm doing it.
I'm a dog, I'm a dog, I'm a dog, I'm a dog.
Davis Mills, dog of the day. He gets the dog of the day. And then Mertz comes in, Jakob Johnson with a touchdown, and British Brooks with a touchdown. So Jacobs was across the middle. British Brooks was an out. It was actually the same thing that similar to the one that Noel dropped. So a British Brooks sighting on the touchdown in red zone. So the more versatility he can show, the better. I think he's kind of a long shot to make the team. But maybe if they can sneak him on the practice squad and he can do a lot of stuff, then they'll be good with that. Then we go to team 3. And team 3 offense looked good here. They look good here. CJ finds Cade Stover in the flat. Then you have a blah run by Nick Chubb, a sack by Will Anderson, and then a touchdown to Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz with a touchdown on a flag route from CJ. Then a Dylan Horton sack. Then you had Darrell Taylor. He went down briefly, but he ended up getting up. And then you had a Higgins TD on an out route. So you had a couple touchdowns there, and that would be all that she wrote for CJ Stroud. Notice you have a touchdown from Jakob Johnson. You have a touchdown from Dalton Schultz. Cade Stover was making plays. The final dog of the day. This is a group award.
I'm a dog, I'm a dog, I'm a dog, I'm a dog.
We're going to go with the tight ends and Jakob Johnson, who is essentially a tight end. So those are the final dogs of the day. Then Davis Mills comes in. John Mechie with the touchdown. He actually recovered nicely from the drop, had a good practice. EJ Speed blows up Jawar Jordan. Then there was a pump fake and throwaway. Another good job by Davis Mills getting rid of the ball and avoiding the sack. An out to Lachey. A sliding grab from Xavier Hutchinson, who had another solid day. And then a John Mechie out route. And a good day for John Mechie. His best day by far. Taking advantage of, by the way, I don't think I mentioned that Wayne was out of practice today, which gave him an opportunity, and John Mechie took advantage. Then Slovis comes in. Taylor blown up by Speed. EJ Speed again. Then you had one of the stars of camp.
What happened to that boy?
The Birdman. Then a little small out to Irv Smith, a swarm sack, and then just kind of a blah touchdown by Daniel Jackson. Just kind of like the third string and did kind of seem like it was just kind of it was clearly an end of the practice touchdown. And that's where we're at with the team 3. So that was a wrap for practice. And there was some really, really fun stuff after that to get to that happened before practice and after. Before we get to all that, want to talk about BobTech. Shout out to BobTech. They've been in the business for 45 years. It's locally owned and operated, whether you're working on the dock, whether you're working at the on the truck, maritime, all that. They got you covered when it comes to safety. And you pay less, you get more. Bobby's been in the industry for 45 years. Don't take this stuff lightly. A lot of these big companies are using AI. They're not delivering. That's not the case. You can text him right now, 409-744-8225. Say you want to order a product, go to bobtech.com. You can get stuff around the house as well, which I recommend. The gloves, anything that you need to stock up on, they got you covered. Give them a call, 409-744-8225. Let's keep the local businesses alive and get rid of all the BS going on with the big companies. So good stuff from the offense today. That is the big takeaway as far as what went on the field. The defense is still the clear strength of this team, but the offense looked good, specifically in the red zone. And it is apparent that Brevin Jordan is going to make this team. We wondered what he would look like coming back. Would he, there's Brevin Jordan's a unique player because it's kind of a unique skill set. You don't know what Nick Caley's going to think about him, but you know that Nick Caley's going to have an opinion. But he's been good. Like, he's been solid, and they clearly value him. And he seems to have a really, really good perspective. It's been interesting watching Brevin Jordan. So I've been at every camp, every training camp practice that he's ever had. And I've interviewed him over the course, like in long form, and I've seen him at the podium in every single one of these camps. And the real interesting thing about Brevin Jordan is everything's just really, really different. Like in his first 5 camps, like none of them have been like the other. So you go to the first one, he's on a rebuilding team. He's really new to the tight end position. He's probably not in as good a shape as he would like. And he's playing for David Culley. And he's playing in an offensive system that probably doesn't really necessarily fit his skills. Next year, new coach, Lovie Smith. This time, he says that he started taking his diet serious and he's in really, really good shape. And you're kind of wondering, okay, is this guy going to make the team? Kind of banged up, ends up making the team. Not an incredible year. Year 3, DeMeco Ryans. We're talking about how Brevin Jordan needs to stay healthy. He gets hurt in camp. Despite getting hurt, they keep him around. He ends up scoring the touchdown against the Browns in the playoff game, the play of his career. Last year, pretty good expectations. Kind of the vet. Ends up getting hurt early, tearing his ACL. And now here he is in year 5. He's a vet and he has good perspective. I asked him, Brevin, what is the difference, if any, between this camp and the other 4 that are pretty different?
This has been kind of extremely different. What is the difference this year compared to the others?
Yeah.
Like, when you look at it from a physical.
Yeah. Honestly, nothing really feels different in terms of like the camp mentality. But for me, I think now that I'm older and I've been in the league 5 years, I just understand that we don't get a lot of ops. Like in practice, in every team period, every guy gets maybe 1 or 2 ops. Like you have to capitalize on those opportunities. If you have a run gap, a run play, you have to capitalize on that run play. Like I just look at it like every play is a play to earn the coach's trust and my teammates' trust. That's as simple as that.
Coming back from this has been kind of extremely different.
He's
What is the difference this year compared to the others?
Yeah.
He's an interesting dude. Brevin Jordan. Very interesting. Dude, on the chat, Knuckles says, LL, let me swap out my tickets for those Wednesday tickets. Bro, I'm not a ticket broker, Knuckles. You got tickets yesterday, didn't go, and then today I'm not a ticket broker, brother. We give away the tickets. Now you're trying to swap. What are you doing here? What is going on? We give away the tickets. What do you want? What do you want, man? Just transfer them to me. If you can't use them, just transfer them to me. But I'm not like I don't have like a swap type of thing. But if you want to just transfer them to me, you can. So Brevin Jordan, I think it's safe to say that he's good to go. And he's gonna be fine. Sheldon Rankins is another interesting case study. And Sheldon is a guy who was here the first year of DeMeco Ryans, and he left for a year, and now he's here for the third, where they already established themselves. So I asked Sheldon Rankins about the difference between walking into the locker room then and then walking into the locker room 2 years later.
Started DeMeco to now walking in year 3. What's the biggest difference you see walking here now as compared to when you first started?
The culture's set now. Obviously, new coach comes in, working overtime to try to get his identity imprinted within the framework of the team, and getting the team to function without him having to, say every little thing over and over again. So I think, obviously coming back, same quarterback leading the team, and then defense, a lot of continuity. His culture is set, so I think, it's easy to kind of get back in here and honestly kind of fill my role like I did last time, and then just get back to playing ball.
So then one of the guys that for the start of DeMeco to now walking in.
There you go. Old Sheldon Rankins action. All about that business. Sheldon Rankins. I very much enjoy that. I enjoy hearing Sheldon Rankins. But there's something I kind of got a kick out of. DeMeco Ryans was a little bit irked by the injury talk, and we know how DeMeco handles injuries. Sometimes it's a keeping it real goes wrong element to how DeMeco handles those things. But I've always said I understand that he's a player's coach. He's gonna do what he can to protect players. But there was kind of some flaky Mixon stuff in the offseason, like, is he in a boot? Is he not in a boot? Is it serious? Is it not? Oh, everything's cool. He's going to be fine. And then all of a sudden, Rappaport says that he's going to be out for the whole preseason, which that's a definitive report. It's not kind of, peacocking back and forth. But DeMeco was asked about it. I thought he had some interesting things to say. He'll start, though, talking about what it was like to have the pads on. Let's hear from the head coach. And then I got to call out a legend. I'm going to be as respectful as I possibly can. I've already texted him, but I got to call out a legend. And I'm going to do so, and I'm going to use his own words as a reason why. You guys see the thumbnail. The great Mark Vandermeer, through that legendary voice, he's got the rule book. But is he actually playing by his own rules? Talk about that in a sec. Let's hear from DeMeco, though, first.
Now, first and foremost, guys did a really great job of just staying up off the ground. I want guys to still be able to protect each other. We're still teammates. Understand we want to play physical football, but we got to protect each other. And I thought our guys came out, did a really good job of that. And you can see our running backs really running the football how it will look, playing physical behind their pass. I thought those guys, Chubb did a really good job today on a couple runs, also Jawar. So, and our defense as well, they stepped up, played physical, nice, couple nice studs, nice tackles in there. So I'm excited. First day of pass, everybody was safe. So I'm happy to get out clean today.
Very good. About Joe Mixon. Well, what changed as far as his diagnosis?
Yeah, nothing's changed with Joe. Joe is still working, in the background. I know we get reports about Joe. Nothing's changed. He's still working. Whenever it's time for Joe to be back, he'll be back. Right? I know a lot of people want to report a lot of things about guys with injuries. My thing is are you really concerned about our guys? Or are you really just trying to get something out there, right? And for me, I always put my players' health and safety first and foremost. So I care about the guys. So you guys don't hear me talking a lot about injuries because that's their personal information. Guys are working through that, and there's nothing to report or get in an uproar about. Like, our guys are working, and it's always sensitive to me because I've been there. I've went through that. So it's not just to report something. Like, I want people here who truly care about our guys. I care about our guys.
I don't know what he's talking about here. Well, we'll get to it in a sec. I get it. I get it from some angles, but I don't understand this.
And what they're doing throughout their process, and it'll continue to be that way.
So I don't. That's confusing. I get it. He's a player. He's a player's coach. He wants to protect players. All that. I get it. But like, what is like? And I completely hate the injury report type of stuff where it's all over the place. And I think that's it's been all over the place in certain times where you're trying to call shots, then you're deleting tweets, then you're saying it and all this type of stuff. So I get that. But like, what does he mean by like care about the player? What does that mean? Like, does he want to like be in control? Like, is he telling people what to say? Is he telling them? Because look, like, it's not personal information. Like, there's injury reports for a reason. People obviously want to watch the guys play, and you wonder whether they're going to play or not. So I don't think it's that serious. I do get his point of view on that. But when he says, like, I want guys who care about the guys, I really don't understand what that means. I think that the Rappaport report was the appropriate one. And I thought that, there were kind of hints that Mixon was going to be ready for camp, and that ended up not happening. So now he's saying there wasn't a setback. So he's basically saying that there was no surprise. So it's hard to follow along what DeMeco is saying sometimes when it comes to injuries because he's really sensitive to it. But that rambling there and that is just I don't really understand it. And in season, we're still going to ask about injuries. At least we should. Like, that's part of it.
DeMeco, Brevin, I think, so speak with us today. Brevin Jordan, what have you seen from him now that he's healthy and when healthy? What can he bring to this offense?
Yeah, what I've seen from Brevin, man, he's excited to be back on the field playing football. Brevin spoke. He just said, you talk about how rough of a time it is with injuries and to be missing football, missing your teammates, missing being out here on the field. So he's so grateful to be back out here, and you see that excitement on his face. You see how he attacks the day. I think one of his first plays out, he caught a short pass, and it reminded me of the play he had versus the Browns where he took one the distance, right? And that's what Brev can do. He's an explosive playmaker, and I'm as excited to see him back out here working with a smile on his face.
Why was he an important player to bring back on an extension? Signing terms last year, he did what they did.
Yeah, it was important to bring Brevin back on an extension because I see a very talented young player who's really loves football, and I know he can help us, whether it's passing game, running game. He's doing a really great job of working at the line of scrimmage, working on the blocking as well. So I see a really an ascending young player. And when you got an ascending young player in your building, we want to keep as many of those guys here as we can. So I'm happy to lock Brevin up for a few more years.
You guys were able to add what was already a successful secondary. What excites you about the potential of that?
What excites me about the potential of our secondary group, adding CJ is, you don't add, it's not just another player. You're adding a Pro Bowl, all-pro caliber player with a Super Bowl pedigree who's done it at a high level, brings others along with him. Like, he's a true leader by example and by talking. Like, he does a really great job of motivating guys, getting guys to go. And he's a very, thoughtful guy, asks really great questions. All right, really smart player, asks great questions, making sure everybody's on the same page. And that's what a safety has to be. A safety has to be an elite communicator along with the Mike linebacker, and that's what CJ has done for us. Did a really great job of communicating. Now, when the ball is snapped, any one of those guys back there can go make plays. So I like their play style, and I love the way they're gelling and coming together.
You know what you're like. You were getting through the injuries when you were a player, and you're sensitive to that. What about it is sensitive as a player when you're hearing reports or whatever that might be that you can relate to?
Yeah, for me, it's
There you go.
everybody doesn't have all the information. We have all the information on our guys. So when you talk about injuries and all of this with the guys as a player, you're sitting there and everybody wants to report about who's not out here and what they're not doing. I would like to talk about the guys that are here and the guys who are busting their tails out here on the field in this hot climate, the humidity. Guys are working, grinding. I want to highlight these guys who are doing a great job. Understand our guys who aren't out here, guys are in the back end, they're doing the same thing. They're working just as hard as the guys who are out here. And I just always think it's unfair for everybody to always jump to be first to report something about an injury and is not taking that player into consideration.
Say that again. We're getting to the root of it. Now we're getting to the root of it. We don't even have to solve this. We're getting to the root of it. So he doesn't like the quick reports and the alternate and the trigger fingers and then the peacocking after the fact. Rappaport is a definitive report. Let's make that clear. Like, Rappaport is a clear report. He says he's not expected to be ready during the preseason and not expected to be at training camp. That's a clear report. That's not maybe, expected, tweak. But we're getting to kind of the root of it here with DeMeco.
Doing the same thing. They're working just as hard as the guys who are out here. And I just always think it's unfair for everybody to always jump to be first to report something about an injury and is not taking that player into consideration.
So there you go. He doesn't like the try to jump onto that. This guy trending, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, that's the player's point of view, but that's the root of the DeMeco frustration, which, hey, I can respect it. I can respect the point of view. Brandon brings up something. He says, Will Levis busted shoulder looks sus. Dude, I actually, it's an AC joint. Like it's 100% an AC joint. So he's just having this surgery to have an excuse for why he sucked ass last season, and why he's Gosh Allen and why he's didn't want to be a backup and be around the team. That's an AC joint. That's a 2-month injury. Anyone who has ever had an AC joint knows that. That's what that is. And I can promise you that's what that is. So the DeMeco thing is interesting. Space Age says, again, I understand, but just be transparent with the fans. Yeah, I agree. I think he overdoes it, and keeping it real goes wrong is kind of part of the DeMeco Ryans experience with that. But I don't think it's anything crazy. On the soup, 320.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
He says, you answered my question without a super chat. Thanks. So I thought I would get you. LFG, Rock, Texans, real. Yeah. Appreciate you, my friend. Whatever this is says, DeMeco was on it today with Mixon. Yeah, he doesn't like those quick trigger injury reports. Trey of Texas says, with Brev back and looking good, what tight ends are on the outside looking in? I would say Lachey, Irv Smith, and I guess Jakob Johnson, but I think the fact that he can play fullback and tight end is going to do well for him. Knuckles says, what head coach could whoop DeMeco's ass? Only person with a chance would be Dan Campbell. I don't know, man. I think Vrabel could F some people up. I mean, Vrabel's crazy. He's older, but I don't think it would be very fun to get in a fight with Mike Vrabel, DeMeco or not. But yeah, DeMeco would definitely be a 1 seed for sure in that in that hypothetical. So I thought this was hilarious today. So we walked in to camp and we sat down, and someone came up to me and said, man, did you hear? I heard Stoots get called out today on Texans radio. And I was like, really? What did they say? And he said, yeah, Vandermeer was talking about Mark Vandermeer, the legend, the future Ring of Honor member, friend of mine. I actually texted him today. And I like Vandermeer. And look, you take my opinion and say I'm a dumbass, it's cool. Take Stoots to say you're a dumbass, it's cool. It's just kind of the way it goes. It's part of the business. It happens. But I thought this one was interesting. And I heard about it secondhand, and I wanted to get the full context of what exactly Vandy said. Because if you go back, Stoots, the direct quote from Stoots is, Nick Chubb hasn't looked good. That's all he said. He said, Nick Chubb hasn't looked good. I don't know what's wrong with that. We've been proactively saying that backup running back is something that they should take very seriously. They did what they chose to do what they did, and they brought in Nick Chubb, and Stoots doesn't believe he's looked good. Much like I didn't think Shaq Mason looked good last year. And the most bizarre opinion that you get when you bring this up, and I don't think it makes any sense, is that it's too early to judge Nick Chubb. And this was, I went back and listened to it. It was on the Odyssey app. It's their 8 o'clock hour. It's actually a really good segment, ironically, which I'll explain in a second. But let me know, give me a thumbs up, and let me make sure y'all can hear this. This was Mark Vandermeer, and I don't know why he didn't say Cody's name either. I thought that was kind of weird, but this is Mark Vandermeer on Texans radio talking about Nick Chubb. And give me the thumbs up and make sure that y'all can hear this.
Along the lines, this is like semi-hot read. So along those lines, Nick Chubb, a media member was criticizing Chubb like Chubb's just slogging around out here.
He didn't say that.
How do you know? How do you know if Chubb is slogging around or looks good? Now, Jawar Jordan is a different runner than Chubb.
Yeah.
Jawar Jordan's going to run. He's a glider, a little bit more of that.
Right.
He's smaller. Chubb, it looks like he could run in handstand fashion, just jog with his arms. Like he's just amazingly built.
Yeah.
And, he breaks tackles.
Yes.
He's like mini Brandon Jacobs and then some.
Right.
Look at his style over the years with the Cleveland Browns. I'm not here to say Chubb's running for 1,200 or more if he's healthy,
right,
but I'm here to say that let's wait and watch to see how effective he really is.
All right, so I'm very confused. I'm confused by this, and this is what really confuses me about this opinion by Vandy. This opinion, this little nugget from Mark Vandermeer, where he says it's too early. This came after they put together a gym. And credit to John Harris, you should always read his thoughts on practice and how it's going. They broke down the running backs and who looked good, for no lie, probably like 8 to 10 minutes before that. So they listed all the guys that look good. And John Harris even said in the moment that you can tell. You can usually get a good idea of how these guys look. So it wasn't too early to do that, but it's too early to say if Nick Chubb looks bad or not. And slogging around was not what was said. It was just it doesn't look great. And it didn't look much better today in pads. It didn't look much better today in pads. Here's a little snippet of what they were talking about before. And this is where it kind of gets even just as funny with Vandy.
The two best offensive football players on the field on Saturday were Jawar Jordan and Woody Marks.
Whoa, were we allowed to say that? Are you allowed to say that they look good? And John's a separate thing. That this doesn't fall under the Vandy rules.
The two best offensive football players on the field on Saturday were Jawar Jordan and Woody Marks.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't even know if it was close.
Kind of a breakout practice of sorts for Woody, right?
Well, I felt like Woody's taking his intensity up a little bit. Jawar running the ball between the tackles. He's the only one that has really been able to kind of have a run where he can kind of slither through.
Wait, say that again,
only
John?
one that has really been able to kind of have a run where he can kind of slither through relatively untouched to get a nice. He's really the only one that's been able.
He's the only one that's been able to do that. So John Harris just said that. So I don't understand this like it's too soon. Like, you disagree, just disagree. But don't break down the running backs for 8 minutes and tell me how great they look and who looks good. And then on the other hand, you can do whatever you want, but it sounds weird. Like, it sounds weird to say, well, you know, this guy looks great. This guy looks awesome. These two guys were great. And then whenever Cody just brings up, and I don't think he's wrong. I don't think he's wrong at all. But whenever Cody brings up, and you can say his name, I mean, nobody covers the squad better than Cody. I mean, he's one half of the largest Texans digital presence, and he's also the number one on the Substack. He's been here. You can say his name. But it's weird to say all that and have like an 8-minute segment breaking down running backs and then say, well, it's too early when it comes to Nick Chubb. I need this rule book. Y'all can see the thumbnail. I need this Vandy rule book and this other rule book where it's too early. I need it. I really want to see it. I want to know when it's okay. I really, really do. And I love Vandy. I texted Vandy today. He's my guy. I like Vandy. But I need this rule book that he and others have about it. Because here's the other thing. And you guys, most of you have been a part of this channel for creeping up on 3 years. And a lot of you have listened to me for over a decade on the radio. When I would break this team down to the best of my ability and as honest as possible. Do you not remember a year ago today, like about a year ago today, when the brief amount of time that we saw watching Joe Mixon practice, where we talked about how awesome Joe Mixon looked? I mean, I think it might have been practice 1, practice 2, practice 3. Like, we were talking about how awesome Joe Mixon looked. Man, he looks good. Man, he's cutting. He's doing this. He's doing that. And we said it. I missed the part where Mark Vandermeer said it was too early to say that he looked good. Or any of these other people saying it's too early. And what makes it even more confusing is the majority of the people that are saying this are still talking about who looks good. So how does that make any sense? Like, if you think he's going to be good and he's going to be fine, and maybe he's Allen Iverson.
We in here talking about practice.
Maybe he's one of those guys that just brings the rice out whenever it's actually game time. We've seen it. But it wasn't too early when we were talking about Joe Mixon. Wasn't too early. So where does this come from? You know, I'm not going to like personally say anything bad. That's just kind of the radio thing. But that it's an interesting call out to bring up 10 minutes after you guys just glazed the running backs and talked about who looks good. It makes no sense. Like, what am I missing here? Doesn't make any sense at all. So make it make sense. Or just please, I'll go ask Vandy tomorrow if I can get the rule book. Like, can I please have the rule book of, like, when you can say someone looks good or not or bad? Like, I need the rules. Because Jawar Jordan does look good. I agree. He looks good. Woody Marks looks pretty good catching the football. I agree. British Brooks has had some ups and downs. We really haven't seen like a good version of Nick Chubb. And here's the other thing about it that I find interesting is, if we were saying this before he stepped on the field in a real game post-injury, then that would be one thing. He played half the season last year. There were 2 Brown running backs who averaged over 4.5 yards per carry. Nick Chubb had a career low. So I just don't get it. I really don't understand the whole it's there. And I don't need to have Stoots' back. Like, if I disagree with Stoots, I disagree with Stoots. Like, we tell each other we're dumbasses all the time. But I need that to make sense, because it doesn't. And I talked to Vandy. It wasn't like it was just a little text back and forth. But I told him, I was like, man, I'm gonna have some fun with this. It doesn't make any sense. Texans Tangent says, if it doesn't make sense, then why try to make it make sense? What a dumbass. That's dumber than what Vandy said. No offense. That's dumb. If it doesn't make sense, then why try to make it make sense? I don't know, man. Nico's just Nico. I don't even really watch Nico in practice. I honestly think they just let other guys get loose. But yeah, Nico's Nico. I want to touch on the 3 battles of Nick Chubb. And there's 3 battles that Nick Chubb is going through that I think one of them should be favorable for him, and 2 of them are battles that need to be acknowledged when talking about Nick Chubb. And battle number 1, we talked about this on SNL. Battle number 1 is Father Time, which they say is undefeated. At the running back position, it's a polarizing topic. It's a polarizing topic in all of sports, but it's a polarizing topic specifically at the running back position. There's a reason that some of the best running backs in the game heading into the draft, some fans say you don't even draft a running back in the first round because you can find them anywhere. And you want to get young ones and blah, blah, blah. They say that. Some of the best running backs in the game don't even get second contracts because of the wear and tear on that position. So Nick Chubb at 29, that's a battle that he's fighting that some of the best running backs of all time have lost and are way past losing at this age. So that's battle number 1 that would exist with or without the injury, which brings us to battle number 2, the injury. It was an ugly injury, and it happened right during that peak Father Time battle for a running back and kind of the age where that is. And we saw Nick Chubb play last year. Like, it's not like we didn't see him play last year. He played half the season. Well, the worst, it wasn't productive. You talk to people in Cleveland that, like, I talked to that cover him, that have watched him play from the beginning. They said, yeah, it looks like he's lost a step. He's not what he once was. He wasn't good last year. And yeah, it kind of feels like the ship has sailed. So that's another battle that Nick Chubb would be going through. So that right there tells you, just with that info, that tells you, okay, well, damn, maybe it's going to be kind of an uphill battle for Nick Chubb. Then there's battle number 3, which it's almost like a natural curve for him with these other battles where the expectations kind of get pulled back to his current state. And that's the fact that the Texans aren't like, they don't have overwhelming depth at the running back position. There's no overwhelming depth at the running back position, especially with Dameon Pierce and Joe Mixon out. And even with those guys, there were a lot of questions. So even if he's lost a step, even if he's not what he once was, like, shouldn't we be watching Nick Chubb and him look better than Jawar Jordan or Woody Marks or British Brooks? Like, that, you would think that would be something that would be the case. It's not. And all we have to judge is practice. It's not like anything revolutionary, but we're talking about a guy who we saw play last year. We saw him get hurt again last year. We saw him have the terrible injury 2 years ago, and we're watching him right now. So there's some battles that Nick Chubb is battling. So if he's not looking like his former self or he's not looking good, it shouldn't be a shock. Shouldn't be a shock. He's going through some things that you can't avoid. He's going through some things that can decrease and elevate the end of your career soon in injuries. And we're seeing what he's doing. But I don't think it's too early. I think the clues are right there when it comes to what to see. And last year we saw Joe Mixon, and immediately we said, man, that guy looks like he's gonna ball out. Just not really the case for Nick Chubb. Those tough 3 battles to go through. He does deserve respect, but if he's not looking good and he's not sticking out, it just kind of is what it is. That's just kind of how you evaluate these things. But he's always going to have the utmost respect from his peers. DeMeco Ryans is going to respect him. Now, if they have to make a tough decision, will they make the tough decision? Will they try to figure out spot duty? Does he just flip some sort of switch? Is he better than what they've got? I don't know. But it doesn't look like overwhelmingly impressive. And we'll just have to see how that whole thing goes down. Tomorrow, practice again, 9 a.m. Does anyone want to go to practice tomorrow? Can anyone go? Just give me a yes or no. 9 o'clock. Well, a lot of people got to work. A lot of people got school. But just let me know who wants to go, and I'll give these tickets away. I'll transfer them. We got Stram Phillips. We got Kessler. We got 291. All right, between those 3, let's have a vote right now. Should we give it to Kessler, 291, or Strand? Where are we at? Kessler, 291, or Strand? Let's see. We'll go with the person that has a picture. No offense, 291 and Kessler. We'll go with no, that's not fair. They might just be new. They might just be on here just to do that. I don't want to do any trivia. Just email me. The first one to email me, the first one to hit my email, landry.locker@gmail.com. That's the easiest way to do it. And if you don't get them today, I'll have your email on file to where if I get more, I'll hook you up. But the first one to hit the email right now, landry.locker@gmail.com, just say tickets. I'll transfer you the tickets and you'll be going to the game. How about that? That's easy. Contests aren't like stream friendly and that fun, like the tickets. And there's always so many people. Like today we had like 550 in the SNL, and it was just kind of a cluster. So there you go. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. P Hook says you talking like he needs to kill himself, damn dog. Who, Chubb? That's dramatic as hell. Because he's not looking good and he's going through battles that a football player goes through. That's very dramatic, dog. Knuckles, you need to give it up on these tickets, bro. You ain't never gonna go. All right, I got the email. We'll see who the first one is, and I promise you, I'll keep y'all's on file for the next time I get tickets, and I'll throw them your way. So, Kessler was first. Josh, I got your email. Matthew, I got yours. I promise I'll save it. And the next time I get a pair of tickets, I'll hook y'all up. But Kessler, I'll send you the tickets, and appreciate everyone for rolling through. I wish we had a ton of tickets and we'd be able to figure it out. But be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like. Be sure to ride along. Be sure to always remember when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Still got to get that rule book from my mans. I'm going to ask him for it tomorrow. Appreciate y'all for rolling through.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Ayy. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localize every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not 2. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got